Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone, wherever you sit. I know we have a very diverse group from all over the world. So again, welcome to today's Tech Talk X on how AI and data are transforming the automotive industry. But of course, while we have experts today, I will introduce them in a minute. We also want to, of course, spend time on what other industries can learn from it, because I'm sure all of you are dealing with uncertainty. And of course, today the automotive industry is in the press a lot, and we read a lot about the uncertainty the automotive industry is facing. So, but again, hopefully lots of takeaways for all of you. Today, we will explore how AI is reshaping customer experiences, business models, but we will also talk about digital manufacturing and enterprise solutions with insights here from Accenture and BMW that you hopefully will leverage in your own businesses. Before I introduce Kevin and Markus, let me do some housekeeping here. The audience is muted, the video of you is off, and chat functions are disabled. But of course, we are waiting for your questions because we want to spend time at the end to focus on your questions for our speakers. So please use the Q&A box whenever you want. I will always have an eye on it. And if there are burning questions in between, we might tackle them right away, but most likely they will be covered at the end of the webinar. If possible, with your questions, be as short and to the point as you can be. The webinar is recorded for people that cannot join at today's time and maybe want to take a look later. So as we know, the automotive industry, as we know it, is navigating significant challenges, including intensified global competition, particular from new competition from Asia, but also many startups. And of course, there's an imperative for the transition to electrification. Many traditional automakers, as we read it, as I said, in the press every day, are experiencing declining sales and facing the necessity to enhance efficiency and adapt to new technologies. While we look in today's webinar at customer-centric solutions and experiences powered by data, tech, and AI, so while the title says AI, of course, we also want to talk about technology more broadly, but we will also discuss how internal processes and how manufacturing can be optimized and streamlined. I mean, just yesterday I read a quote from Volkswagen CFO who clearly said we need to increase the efficiency at our plants to avoid workforce reductions. And of course, as we all know, data technology is a very important enabler here. Yeah, with this, let me actually introduce our fantastic guest that we have today. So on the one hand, we have Kevin Eversmann, who is the Global Data and GenAI Lead for Automotive and Mobility at Accenture. He's doing this for almost 20 years. And then we have Markus Kronen, Head of GenAI at Purchasing and the Supplier Network at the BMW Group. Also, if I'm not mistaken, Markus, now for over a decade. You already focused on AI when many of us maybe didn't even think about that it will be as disruptive as we have it or as we see it today. So thanks a lot. Big thank you for both of you for being here. And yeah, we brought you a little bit as a pair here. That's why you're here, because we know you're working together on many projects. And again, hopefully lots of concrete, great use cases we can listen to from you so that the audience can learn a lot. So with this, let's maybe dive right into it. And maybe let's start with the most burning question. I mean, I got it this morning. I was teaching another class, and it's a question that always comes up. Hey, the automotive industry is in a crisis. And sometimes, you know, I'm using this example in my classes. If people want to use WhatsApp, do not optimize the fax machine. So maybe the first question here really for both of you, and maybe we start with Kevin. Could data and AI, if it would have been embraced earlier or maybe better, have helped traditional car manufacturers to manage the current crisis better? Any thoughts here?
Yeah, so I think a classic answer would be depends, right? So yes, for sure. At the end of the day, data and the respective technology around can help a lot. So let's take, for example, the COVID situation, right, where the entire supply chain was disrupted, right? So if there would have been a data ecosystem across suppliers and partners in the automotive industry, right? This would have been easier to manage the shortage of some of these components you need to produce a car or the services around, right? So at the end of the day, yes, for sure. But we also have to take into consideration that not only technology, data, and AI will help or is helping to improve and to be more competitive, right? I mean, we have to talk about organizational setups. We have to talk about services. We have to talk about different kind of user groups. Also, how kind of customer expectations are changing and how fast are we able to adopt, right? So if you see, for example, that some of the OEMs in the market are able to get a new car up to the market within 2 years. This is definitely faster than what we see with traditional OEMs. So that's why I'm saying there is a lot of more to do than just working on data and AI, but this is for sure a big enabler. We as Accenture saying that after the evolvement of the internet, right? So we will see in the next few months and years big transformations based on these technologies.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And you already mentioned a few times manufacturing and supply chain. Markus, a topic you're focusing on every day at BMW. What's your point of view?
I think the example of COVID and the semiconductor shortage is really good because we can see there how different OEMs has handled the topic. And I think from a point of view, from a BMW point of view, having excellent processes in place and living the processes, and then being in the transformation of digitalization helps a lot because you are more flexible than others, which have not the ability of using AI or digital tools. And I think this helped us in the semiconductor crisis, and this is also helping us at the moment with all the challenges, looking towards China, looking towards quality topics, and the whole situation in the automotive industry.
Yeah, and maybe linked, Kevin. Sorry. Yeah, maybe linked to this point. I mean, when in my classes, of course, I teach about customer-centric strategy, creating competitive advantages to create customer value, and maybe to structure the flow of the webinar a little bit. So today, what I call, we want to talk about also 3 transformational shifts that companies go through, right? And the first one I call engaging more effectively to sell more. So the engagement shift, if you will. Then the second shift, as our audience has seen in the title, selling differently, meaning building better customer experiences. And then the third shift, what I call the business model proposition pivot, really moving. If I stick to that analogy of the fax machine, moving from the fax machine to WhatsApp. Maybe Kevin here, first question for you. I mean, in many industries, not just in automotive, people say real transformation requires often this shift from products to solutions, right? So mobility solution as a buzzword, while many traditional car manufacturers focus mostly on just outstanding products. So how do you see this in your daily work? How does AI, data technology, if you look at it broader, really help to optimize this move to solutions, to new business models?
Yeah, so also here, I think the time has shown that, especially this full autonomous driving, right, what the automotive industry is calling level 5, so no interaction by human beings, right, that this was not just around the corner as it was predicted by some of these players at the market, right? That's a holy grail, and that's something which will take time, if at all possible, in that sense, like we see that vision, right? Nevertheless, this doesn't mean that whenever there are specific scenarios or use cases that this is not possible at all. So let's take, for example, whoever was already in San Francisco, right, and has tested the autonomous vehicles there, which will bring you from A to B, which is a great move, right? Because at the end of the day, it's available when you need it. You can just call it via app. There is also no human being still needed, right, to run that cab. So this for sure is a big move and a big shift in towards mobility services, right? Whereas we have seen that also this mobility services segment has transformed over time, right? We have seen all these drive nows and what not, right, which were consolidated, sold, split up, and things like that. Because at the end of the day, earning money with these kind of business models in a moment was very difficult for a lot of players at the market, right? And the same, we also have seen, for example, Germany, Hamburg, right? Whereas mobility services were provided, then they stopped. Now they want to rebuild it and set it up newly in the next calendar year. So I believe that there is potential, that there will be in the future players at the market to offer mobility services. And it's definitely a shift, because just the car is often not enough, right?
Yeah, and if you take your comment and link it maybe concretely to BMW's case, Markus, what are you doing in that space, and how do you realistically see what are the end expectations when it comes to AI's contribution to autonomous driving?
So, as Kevin already mentioned, we are talking about the different levels. And at the moment, our fleet is driving on level 2 with the Autobahn assistance, so driver assistance. And we have our level 3 options in our 7 Series for the traffic jam pilot. And so from a European point of view, and I really like coming from the valley, because this is always good for us to see how they are pushing technology to an edge, and how they are really bringing everything together, investment, the best skills, and everything to speed up. When we look to Europe, the combination of level 2 and 3, which we have in the 7 Series, is one of the first with the license to operate. And what we can do now is we can use AI to process the massive sensor data sets from camera, radar, LiDAR, and we can make real-time decisions, and we can also then generate synthetic training and testing data. And that brings us to the point that we can now achieve to the next level, level 4. And you asked me how confident I am, or how confident we are looking into the future. No one knows if we can achieve level 5 next year, but as we learned last week from Sam Altman, maybe we have our AGI next year. And this will, of course, accelerate also the process towards level 5 for BMW. So it's always a challenge of technology and regulation at the end of the day.
And maybe a quick follow-up here, Markus. What I was hearing, or maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes it's better to maybe walk in the right direction than running in the wrong direction. But would you say traditional car companies like BMW, what I was hearing, are a little bit more risk averse, hence slower, less agile than some of these startups? And does it not put you in a position where we are actually today, maybe in this crisis, Or would you say, again, long term, that's the right approach you're following?
Talking about the right or wrong approach is, I think, not the right way. But what we can see, and then we are already again in Europe, this risk assessment and the focus on safety, bringing these cars onto the road, is more than in the Silicon Valley, where companies just try to bring it to the customer, but they are successful with this strategy. So we will see what's the best strategy on long term.
Yeah, maybe Kevin, back to you, because you work with many organizations, and back to not just on better business models, but also more tailored, personalized customer experiences. So what are the most promising use cases that you see with the companies you're working with, how they leverage tech and AI in particular to build these better experiences and business models?
You mean in terms of customer experience and customer experience?
Could be, yeah, could be, but also internally, right? Whether it's external customers or internal customers, yeah.
No, I mean, what we see is that there are specific areas based on, let's say, the actual needs also different to global regions. So first of all, most of the companies, at least the bigger ones and also startups, they are moving out of these pilot phases, right? I mean, this is through, so 2024 already, and 2025 will be all about scalable solutions, right? It's not enough to just have a POC, because this is what everyone can do, just get access to AWS, Microsoft, or to some available products at the market, and you can start that. Yeah? But this will not help you to scale it into a proper business, into an organization, right? So, and then in terms of dimensions and areas, I cannot think of any functional area where technology in the moment is not used to be faster, to bring more quality, to be more efficient, to save costs, to win competition. So there is no function, what I'm seeing, where this is not used. To give you some concrete examples, yes, for sure. I mean, if we look into all of these IT departments, technology departments, where AI is used to optimize software delivery life cycles, to increase quality. The same we see in manufacturing, using that at scale. It's used to increase lead, to decrease lead times when it comes to customer experiences. It's about creating merchandising by technology, right? Without human beings, being faster, being more cost efficient. Wherever or whereas, we also have to make sure, and this is also something we looked into every year, we bring out the Accenture Life Trends. It's super serious, it's edge, because we also know all that it's difficult to separate between what's true and what's not true, what we see, right? So that's now at a kind of turning point where we also advise our partners and clients to think about, yes, it's good to use that, but it's also important to think about customers' trust, and how can you make sure that technology is not jeopardizing your brand because something is happening what you cannot control. So while we are all super curious about what is technology-wise possible, we have to make sure that this is first of all also seen by the customer like this. It doesn't matter if it's an internal or end customer. And we also have to make sure that this is not misused and you're losing trust, because then your business can be interrupted or can be lost super fast. So that's something you have to think about while implementing all of these solutions which are available.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, at the end, successful transformation needs to be probably linking the customer centricity view, the business, the organization, and the technology itself. Maybe link to this point, Markus, because, and Kevin, you as well, you touched on level 1 to 5 in the automotive industry. There's a question we maybe want to address, because we might talk about it earlier. Markus, level 1 to 5, how do you define it?
So we start at level 1 with the just the driver assistance. Then level 2 is partial automation of driving. Level 3, conditional automation, so traffic jams, for example. And then level 4, high automation. So we call it the brain off mode. And level 5, full automation, you don't need a driver. And this is what we see in the robot taxis. And these 5 stages are defined in the automotive industry.
Thanks for clarifying. And maybe linked to this point, while we realize when you talked transformation and leveraging data and AI is an ongoing process, maybe to both of you, whoever wants to start, from your experience, right? So what does it mean from a leadership perspective if organizations, like start using data, tech, AI more and more and adopt more and more use cases? Of course, organizations and the organizational setup, specific skills, teams, mindsets. I mean, everything needs to adapt as well. I mean, what are the key recommendations you can give to the audience here today on this question?
So I think the situation with AI is not new. It's the same we had or we have with digitalization at all. But the difference is it seems to be a lot faster. And so the challenges in the past have been the same. So we need alignment across teams, and you have to closely align your initiative with your business goals. You have to break down silos. So really foster cross-functional collaboration between your teams, especially when you want to integrate AI efficiently in your IT development part of the company. And of course, developing the skills. You need to upskill your employees, not only to develop AI tools, they have to manage and understand what's happening there, to really use it every day and use it in the right way. And my personal recommendation is to, when somebody is starting with AI, start with a small but measurable AI project, to really build trust and use the momentum you can have with one of these first use cases.
Yeah, so it's about developing powerful use cases from the beginning. Kevin, you work with many organizations. Anything to add? What a successful playbook might look like?
I think what Markus already said is super important. And already what I mentioned in the beginning, it's not about the technology, it's about the people, right? And the organization itself. What we see across the globe, I mean, it's much more sufficient, successful, and also in terms of speed, when it's really a strategic goal of the company. That means that top level is supporting this, compared to you're seeing AI technology innovation popping up here and there, which as an, I would call it, island solution, might be relevant for the specific environment in the company, but this will not transform, right? So it has to be a mantra, it has to be a strategic goal that a company wants to, and we are also talking about investments, right? I mean, AI without data is a challenge, right? So that means you also have to make sure that you have the data available, that you have the right data governance, that you increase the quality, that you have ownership, that you invest into people. So that means a certain investment is needed to be ready and to be able to use these kind of technology and decisions based on that in the market. So that's also something which is super important. Nevertheless, it's not only about your company alone, right? I mean, typically that's an entire ecosystem you have to deal with, right? You have hyperscalers, you have startups, you have research companies, you have some other partners, business partners, right? So that's something where we see, in case it's, let's say, top management driven, plus in relation or also in combination with playing the ecosystem, these are the most successful transformations based on data and AI we are seeing, or I'm seeing around the globe.
Yeah, Yeah, let's maybe move a little bit to also the manufacturing side of things, digital manufacturing. I mean, Markus, BMW was always known for operational excellence. So how has AI in particular impacted key metrics like cost efficiency, supply chain resilience, speed to market? I'm sure you're measuring all these KPIs, yeah, real time.
Yes, when it comes to manufacturing at BMW Group, and talking about digitalization, we have our slogan, the BMW iFactory, which is a huge transformation of our production. And we are looking there on 3 points, on lean, green, and digital. And of course, digital is key to meet the key metrics you mentioned. For example, cost efficiency, of course, we have AI-powered quality assurance to detect in real time, which is reducing waste. And when we are using predictive maintenance, we can prevent breakdowns and saving costs and downtimes overall. So what we are using the most, and what with the use case we started with was really computer vision, because this was far ahead compared to other machine learning topics. And we have scaled that over the whole globe with, I guess, 800 use cases in our plants, and this saves money every day. Talking about supply chain, we are relying on virtual twins of our production sites and of our supply chain, so that we can predict also in real time or near real time that when there are changes or adjustments, we can proactively allocate resources and keep our supply chain the stable as possible. And these digital twins we use in another context also for the speed to market, because we have digital twins of every our plant, and we can use virtual reality tools to streamline the integration process. So if we have a new model, we can integrate the new model into our existing lines by just doing it, by just simulating it. And this makes, or the result is that we have a faster, better, and smoother start of production, and a more efficient production ecosystem at the end of the day.
Yeah. And maybe as a follow-up, listening to you, I mean, many organizations, and also I'm somehow teaching it in my classes, this concept of T squared, tech and touch. But many organizations say, hey, data, technology, AI is here to enrich people, not necessarily to replace people. But listening to you sounds like it's both. I mean, any view on how you see AI and humans working together collaboratively in the future?
Yes, absolutely. So we are doing this since many years, and we are focusing on automating repetitive tasks. So our employees, we want to enable our employees to focus on higher value activities at the end of the day. They shouldn't just check visually if the M badge is on the car. This is not value adding at the end of the day. You can just automate that. And of course, we can enhance safety through the whole process and predict quality. And even, maybe you have read about it, we are, at the moment, we are trying how we can integrate humanoid robots in our manufacturing process in the plant in Spartanburg. And even there, the employees working next to them, they really welcome the tasks the robots do, because heavy lifting, repetitive all the time. So we are not focusing on replacing people. We are focusing of just and enable the employees for higher value activities.
Yeah, to increase efficiency. Yeah, maybe Kevin, going a little bit broader, if you will, beyond efficiency. Again, you work with many companies on their AI strategy and on strategic goals such as sustainability or innovation. How do you see the usage or the use cases of AI data technology when it comes to these strategic goals?
Yeah, so I mean, when, as you said, the strategic goal is in terms of innovation, yes, I mean, that's also what we implemented for our partners already. I mean, when it comes to creative work, I think we all know that, right? I mean, suggesting some kind of how could a model look like, how could the machine look like, how could a product look like, right? This is what especially generative AI is able to do. Yes, we also know that there's a certain limit when it comes to creativity, because at the end of the day, you have to feed these kind of technology, and how you feed and how you shape this kind of solution, it will reply back, right? So that means, or this doesn't mean that, for example, marketing experts or so are not needed anymore. It's also more into direction what Markus said, right? Having first drafts and getting some ideas and impression, that's where we see that our clients and partners using this kind of technology, right? And that's also very important, right? At the end of the day, there always have to be a human-machine interaction, right? We also have to make sure, and now I don't want to play the bad cop once again, but at the end of the day, we also have to make sure when we get recommendations while using this technology, that there might also be some things recommended which we as an expert or the experts outside would see different, where we then have to also arrange these machines we are using. And as said, I mean, human-machine interaction, that has to be at the center and at the core of whatever strategy you are setting up as a company.
Yeah. Yeah, keeps the question coming here, the audience, right? So thanks for doing this. We will spend time on these later. Linked to the current discussion and also to the ROI of when companies invest in AI. Again, Markus, you said earlier, when it comes to efficiency, I would expect it's easier to measure, right? It's maybe digitalization, right? We're doing the same task, as you said, just using technology. What about when we move more again to Kevin's point on strategic goals, where it's maybe more difficult to measure the ROI, the impact that technology and AI is providing? I mean, do you need these business cases right from the beginning, where you say we really want to understand what the outcome is, or back to our earlier discussion, do you say as an organization, hey, innovation does cost money. We have to take a risk. We have to move forward, while we're not really knowing what the outcome of this transformative move maybe will be.
So of course we have to take risks, but I'm convinced that to measure the return on invest early is a key, because otherwise you will also run out of money within your organization if you doesn't bring the benefits back. And of course, the efficiency tasks might be easier to measure than strategic topics. Of course, I agree with that. But my recommendation is then to start with the efficiency tasks and to really bring return on invest. And you need to identify high impact use cases and then tie them closely to your strategic goals.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe you touched on these strategic goals. Maybe back, Kevin, to you. Based on all your work, almost 20 years you're working on this topic, Any views on what frameworks or key learnings or key principles you can tell the audience today when they think about setting up their AI strategies, or where they also want to measure the business impact?
Yeah, so I mean, first of all, it's important to really, I mean, also start, right? And then if you learn that you're failing and it's the different or wrong direction, that you have to stop it. I think some cultures around the globe are used to that, some others not, right? So then thinking, oh, I invested already, and this investment would be gone in case I'm not proceeding. I mean, that's the wrong approach, definitely, right? So, and with this kind of technology, there are also things you cannot influence. For example, I can give you one client example, right, where a prediction about sales numbers was done by this kind of AI technologies, right? At the end of the day, through COVID, when there was nearly no sale anymore, how should the model react when the input is zero, right? So this is for sure something which you have to keep in mind while using these technologies. You cannot, I mean, you can try to adapt, but at the end of the day, this challenge will never be completely solved. So my recommendation would be, first of all, go fast, fail early. Then you have to find volunteers in your organization, in your company, right? I mean, if you don't have guys around or teams around who are super curious and want to go with you that journey, for sure there will be much more effort to convince. Plus, if you have a kind of lighthouse project, which is not just the POC, because as I said, the POC, everyone here in the call, in the chat here today can do, right? Once you have demonstrated that you as a company have the ability to be successful, then it's much easier to convince others to go the same route, right? So this is more or less not AI specific. I think it's human being, but important to not forget.
Yeah. No, you talked about, Kevin, interesting about taking a risk, right? Taking a step forward. Markus, at BMW, you founded the BMW Startup Garage. It's actually a case I'm teaching quite often in my classes. For the audience, maybe it's a case around where BMW found a model where startups in particular can be leveraged very quickly at scale using a venture clienting approach instead of buying an equity stake in a startup. But maybe question to you, Markus, when Kevin talked about taking a risk, we talked a lot about today already finding the right use cases. So question to you, maybe back to the BMW Startup Garage, how important are these startups and your ecosystem in general, maybe to solve all the problems you are facing quickly at a lower risk? And how many of these startups you are integrating today are maybe focusing only on AI solutions?
So starting with the last point, I guess more than 50% are focusing on AI. And this is an important key in our strategy to have the startup garage and have an early access to these companies and push them beside just use them. Yeah? But the AI is developing so fast that we cannot onboard every startup with Startup Garage. So you need, and you just mentioned ecosystem. It's a whole ecosystem, and we need strong partners like Accenture, for example. We can work together. We can bring new technologies into our processes, because it's useless, as Kevin mentioned, to make hundreds of POCs. You really have to bring it into your processes, and people have to use it to really get the efficiency out of AI tools. Otherwise, it won't be important in the future. And together with these partners, we can leverage the risk investing in new technologies, like we do with the startup garage.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see in general, also for other organizations, how they leverage this model. Kevin, any view on this? Working, in an ecosystem every day.
Yeah, no, for us it's super important, right? I mean, that's the secret sauce. We as Accenture, we have talent, right? And we have an ecosystem to nail it down, right? And that's how we help our clients and partner to transform in these very rough times, right? So it's for us, it's a key priority. That's also what you can see that with most of the, let's say, well-known players at the market, they are not just partner. We founded business groups. That means that the partner plus Accenture is investing into this business group to build new products, to enable talents, to think through transitions, transformations. So that's something which is super serious for us.
Yeah. Yeah, before we dive into the questions from the audience, so please keep it coming. Maybe a couple of questions looking into the future, and of course also ethical considerations. There's always a concern about this when I ask in my classes. There's lots of excitement, right? Of course, but there are also concerns, and of course one is always linked to ethical. On the one hand, of course, we want hyper-personalized experiences as customers. Maybe my own at my computer designed 3D printed car at one point. But on the other hand, how do you balance the need for this personalization with the growing concerns about data privacy or regulations in general? Markus, how do you do this at BMW?
So regarding ethics and AI, we communicated in 2020 the Code of Ethics for AI, which is guided by 7 principles, included privacy, transparency, fairness, accountability, and everything. So we started to have a regulation within the company really early. To balancing the need of the customer, at the end of the day, we have to empower the customer to manage their own data preferences. So you can always decide if you are sharing your data. For example, your telemetry and driving data. This is really important for us, or how often you are using your seat heating or your climatization in your car. These are important things to then meet the customer needs. But of course, within BMW, the customer can decide, and we have to empower them that they, at the end of the day, they feel like a co-creator of a car, and the especially when it comes to software, because then it's faster to get the feedback of your feedback. Yeah? And beside that, it's also important that we develop explainable AI to build trust. Our customers need to trust our solutions. They need to trust our autonomous driving solutions. They need to trust the software in the car, and they need to trust also AI applications we provide to the customer.
Yeah, you're already looking into the future here. Maybe Kevin, looking forward, which industries, because again, we have a very, very diverse group, as you know, which industries or sectors might see the fastest AI adoption based on the lessons learned in the automotive industry, based on your experience?
Yeah, that's a silver bullet question, right? So if I would know, nevertheless, I think it's like always, when you are under pressure and you have to move, right, then you will see that there will be a transformation ongoing and that there will be adoption, right? So that means these kind of industries are under heavy pressure to change, right? I think especially also beside automotive, also retail, it's an interesting business where a lot of AI adoption can help, right? I mean, just thinking about, for example, customer experience or call center solutions, right? Where in the moment being, you still have a lot of human beings involved, which are not really capable to speak the local languages and so on, right? I mean, this is a huge game changer, while having really good AI solutions available, right? 24/7 in all languages, getting the right help, just to bring one example, right? So that's definitely there where the most pressure is, and there we see also the biggest movements when it comes to implementing these kind of changes and technologies.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, it's maybe good timing to move to the questions from the audience here. And Markus, you talked about it earlier, efficiency in the supply chain, in manufacturing, and there's an interesting question here. First one, Xiaomi can produce an electric vehicle in minutes using 700 robots. What's your view, Markus? Looks like this is a little bit faster than at BMW when you talked about it earlier. Is this a game changer? And how do companies like BMW, Volkswagen, Mercedes, Toyota respond?
So it's incredible to see how they understand automation, and this maybe comes from their history. So Xiaomi is approved to automate nearly 100% in their production processes, and now they are bringing that to automotive industry, and that's also new for us, because the traditional ones like BMW, Mercedes, and Volkswagen, we have our processes since many decades and have to rethink. When it comes to manufacture faster, more efficient, we can now see which solution for example, Xiaomi has, and adapt that to our process excellence and to our technology excellence. Because when we, for example, talk about die casting of huge parts, this is something we are doing since many years, and now I guess it's the right time to rethink. And the good answer, the good thing is that with the Neue Klasse we start next year, we are exactly doing that. We bring our technological knowledge together with our process excellence, and really try to push towards automation and faster production. And I'm happy to see if we can challenge Xiaomi producing an SUV in minutes.
Yeah. And as we learned before, it's not just about speed. Yeah, then we have an interesting question addressed to Markus, but maybe let's start with Kevin, because it's a really broad topic of AGI, right? So artificial general intelligence, where the AI really possesses the ability to understand or learn like a human being, right? By the way, for the audience, there was a very interesting webinar we have done some time ago with Amnon Shashua, professor at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem and the founder of Mobileye, on this topic, if you want to take a look. But that's really an ongoing discussion right now, right? Will the AI at one point be as smart as a human being? I mean, Kevin, what's your point of view here? And then we move to Markus, because the question was addressed to you as well, because you talked about it earlier.
I would to that question, I would give two dimensions or two directions of answers, right? So one direction, what we are seeing and what is the next step in terms of AI, it's all about these AI agents, agentic AI, right? So where we see that agents will talk to agent, which is also not within just one company or within one partner, right? So the idea is that you have agents in different ecosystems, in different providers, suppliers, right? And out of them, you build one, I don't want to use the word army, right? But you have a network of agents who can support wherever it's needed and possible. That's one direction. The other direction, what we are seeing, and we are also working with research institutes like MIT or DFKI or so, is, yes, there are for sure ideas and approaches to make AI more human being, right? Because you try to predict, for example, when you go about autonomous driving, right? Yes, you can use plain machine learning and algorithms, but if you add on top that you try to predict how a pedestrian will move based on smile, looking on the phone or something like that, you can try to imitate to make that model as human being as possible, right? Mm-hmm. Will this ever move into a scenario where an AI agent will have a human brain? I would put a question mark, but maybe I will not be there anymore when the solution is at the market. But these would be my two directions towards that question.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, and thanks, Sandra, for putting that link to that webinar in the chat here for the audience, because it's really an interesting webinar to listen to as well. Let's move to the next question here, Markus, for you. Where do you see BMW going with NVIDIA, with the NVIDIA Omniverse?
So the potential to have a digital twin of your whole production plant and every car in your production line brings us to a point where we can do a lot of simulation, and one, for example, so to start with a new car, we can integrate and we can program, for example, our PLCs without one single real car in the line. And at the start of production, the first car moves into the hall and will be produced nearly perfectly. When we talked about computer vision earlier, having NVIDIA Omniverse in place with the whole environment of our plant, we can easily create artificial or synthetic training data. So training a new model can be a one-click operation in the future, having everything in place. So it's really important to have these digital twins in the cooperation with Omniverse.
Yeah, thank you, Markus. We touched on earlier building better experiences, engaging more effectively, but back also to the point here, Anna's question about future-oriented business models, and the car as a data platform, as Anna put it here, was one of the key topics, and of course always a topic that comes up when I teach the BMW Startup Garage case. Maybe to both of you, what are the most important mobility sector developments that you are seeing at this intersection, which I think is very critical, one of my key topics that I'm teaching, how to leverage AI and data to build better customer experiences?
I can do a start here, right? At the end of the day, if you want to build better end customer experience, right, you have to think it through holistically, right? That means you have to have the mind in hand. So, for example, what do I have in my mind in the moment? We, for example, looked into the entire end customer experience while moving into a hybrid or direct sales model in the automotive industry, right? If you look, what are the touch points, right? For example, it's about bringing the right campaigns at the right point in time to the right customers. It directly moves then next into what's the new way of having a car configurator, right? Then it's about, okay, you are in the car configurator, you need still some support. How is the agent model then looking like? How is this supported with the virtual agent? Is then a virtual agent male, female? Is it a brand icon? What is it, right? What about the in-car experience then, right? So, I mean, then it goes into the after sales, into models and so on, right? So, and if you think this through holistically, we call that brand brain, because of over the course of the time, you get to know your end customer much better. But if you would look into this silo-based, right, you just enhance the experience of a car configurator, which can be great in itself, but you will lose a lot of potential when you want to bring end customer experience while driving the car. And I think that's super important to have this holistic strategy picture in mind, and then you can build the puzzle pieces. Doesn't mean that you have to transform your entire company or approach in a few days or months or whatsoever, but this is a clear journey. Then I think this is what is super important to also get the right return on invest and the end customer experience you want to have.
Yeah, thank you, Markus.
I can 100% agree to what you said, because we are preparing at the moment to having these multi-agent systems to break down the silos, because otherwise you cannot use the full potential of AI, and especially when it comes to user experience, you have always a cut if you focus only on your single system, isolated system. So using multi-agent frameworks in the future will bring us to a new level of integration of our customers into our products, in our processes.
Yeah, great. With 3 minutes left, maybe I can combine two questions here and a short answer. Maybe we touched on it briefly from Marius and Elizabeth, both focusing on that ecosystem. So earlier we talked about the BMW startup garage. So Elizabeth's question goes into that direction. History, you were building these models yourself, and now it sounds like, as you said earlier, yeah, it's not just build or buy, it's build, buy or borrow, if you will, right? How do you think about this? And then Mario's questions linked to this as well. The huge investments, right, that you take, and maybe they are sometimes risky. How important is this industry collaboration for you? Maybe Markus, you first, the BMW perspective.
Yes, so starting with the collaboration, it's without these industry collaborations, we won't achieve, because we cannot invest millions per day, as other companies do, into developing new AI models. And when you look onto our current activities, we are not training our own large language models. We are using RAG, of course, because it's too costly to do that ourselves, and that's why we need strong partners which maybe can do that for us, or bring the best technology we can use models like that.
Yeah, Kevin, final words, the Accenture perspective.
Yeah, I think the question was, how do we, or what do we recommend our clients and partners to do, right? I think this is also, as already mentioned throughout the session here, it's a business decision, right? At the end of the day, you have to decide what you want, what kind of risk you want to go, how much cash you have to go through a valley in case it comes, right? So at the end of the day, there is no right or wrong. At the end of the day, you have to make sure that as advantage, risk, disadvantage, you optimize that according to what is your company and your talents able to do. And with that, giving back to you, Joerg.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin, Markus, for these insights. I know we only had an hour and there are a couple of questions left. But here to the audience again, feel free, of course, to connect with Digital at INSEAD or with myself. If you have more questions related to this topic, I'm pretty sure I can funnel these, and Kevin and Markus maybe can follow up outside of this webinar. But again, thanks for these insights, Markus, Kevin. I think super helpful, not just for people from the automotive industry, also for many other industries, for the audience here, as we learned, very diverse group. So with this, wishing you all a great day, and I will hopefully see many of you from the audience here on our next webinar. So thanks a lot, and see you soon. Thanks, Markus. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.